What is going on YouTube? It's your boy On Love Legs, and before I get into today's video, I'd like to remind you to please like and subscribe. Now, today is a video that I've told myself I was going to make multiple times over. I haven't done it. Today is the day. Now, what am I talking about today? Today, I'm talking about the time I got fired from McDonald's in 2 days flat. Now, might be a little bit of a lie. I did have a few days of training, but 2 days of actual work, I got fired. So let's take it from the top. I moved to this place about over a year ago, and closer to the end of last year, I started really looking for a job. But when I started looking for a job, nothing. Nobody's hiring. Nobody's answering. Everybody's rejecting. Nobody wants to take me because, I worked in a restaurant they'd never even heard of, in a state they probably never even heard of. But whatever. So I decide to apply to McDonald's. I keep seeing that there's a McDonald's just down the street that needs people. So I go and I apply, and they actually want to hire me. So what I do is I go through the process of trying to get the training process. You have to go meet with the guy, talk to him. He was excited to have me. I couldn't have my beard. If any of you remember from any of my older videos, I used to have a very thick beard. But I'm kind of going for a clean-shaven look. Trying to look nice for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But I'm really growing it out again recently after I shaved my head. So I shaved my beard. I go to the, basically, I'm going to call it like a processing plant, but it's not that. It's, where they basically go through the rules, whatever. I go to the McDonald's headquarters place, go through these with a few other people. It's perfectly fine. Goes great. So a few days later, I get a text message saying I gotta go to a completely different location than the one I'm supposed to be working at. Halfway across town for training. And they're gonna have me working at a time I said I didn't want to work. I said I couldn't work until 8 because during that time my sister was still going to school. And, but I still managed to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and before 6 o'clock in the morning and show up on time. Now, to the actual training. How did that go? It was great, actually. There were no problems. I loved all the people that I was working with. They trained me super well. But you want to know what they had me do the entire time I was there? Any guesses? Leave them down in the comments below. Toast and bake. For 3 days, I did toast and bake for breakfast. Now, if you don't know what that is, if you've never worked at McDonald's before, it's basically where you take the bread and you put it through the machine to warm up the bagels or the bread for the sandwiches or the English muffins, or sometimes you gotta warm up burritos in the microwave. Sometimes you gotta warm up the hotcakes in the microwave, biscuits in the microwave, and then you put certain things in the oven as well. That's all I really did for the entire time. Sometimes I'd work a little bit of a lunch where I'd fry things. I knew how to do that. That part wasn't too hard. Third day though, they had me do a little bit of eggs, and that was kind of cool. Taught me how to use the grill and how to do all that kind of stuff. So, not too bad. They actually didn't mind if I came back early from my break. We'll get to that in a moment. And I also actually got to take breaks, so that was kind of cool. But it went fine. But as I was talking to people, they were asking, where are you going to work? And I said, I'm going to this location. And they all looked at me and they're going, that one's smaller than this one. The manager there is a bitch. She's a grade A bitch. And not many people last over there because of how terrible she is. And I'm going, there's absolutely no way that an older lady named Lisa is gonna It's going to be that bad. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I absolutely wrong. So, as I'm waiting, I think I had to wait 2 days because the lady who had gotten the schedule for me came to me and said, "This is when you'll be working." I don't know why they had you working in the morning. She asked them specifically. She said, "Why are you having him work in the morning if you're going to have him work in the evening when you get there?" And they just went, "I don't know. Don't ask me." Uh, so, yeah, so for 2 days after that, it was a waiting period of just relaxation. So when I actually finally get to my location, I'm excited. I'm hoping to do good. And I go to meet the manager that's there. It's a dude with a chick name. Old dude with a chick name. Not the person I'm supposed to be working with. But whatever. But I had also been told that, sorry, I had a paper schedule because I wasn't in the system yet. So I keep being told I need to clock in with the system, but I'm not in the system yet. And so I try to talk to this manager, and he goes, "Don't even worry about it." I was like, "Okay," but I keep getting yelled at by everybody else, but whatever. And so after he leaves, Lisa comes in. She asks if I had clocked in. I said I'm on the paper schedule. She says, "Well, you need to clock in with the system." It's like, "But I can't do that." She goes, "Well, you need to clock in with the system." It's like, "But I'm on the paper schedule." She goes, "That's too bad. You need to clock in with the system." It's like, I'm not in the fucking system, lady. How hard is that to understand? But I digress. And before any of this actually happened, he asked the guy manager. We're gonna call him Susan. He asked me what I had done for training. And I had told him, I did the toast and bake because I only worked in the morning, and they were confused why you guys had me working in the morning. And he goes, "Okay, you're on the assembly station. This guy will show you how to do it." He just walked away. So I look at the other guy, who was also brand spanking new. He'd only been there for a week. He looked at me and goes, "Dude, I've only been doing this for a week. I have no idea what I'm doing." So I'm going, "Oh, great. What am I supposed to do if this guy doesn't even know?" And then there's this guy who's manning the grill. Got 2 cheek piercings, tattoos all over the place, scruffy on the neck, and has dyed blonde hair. Now this guy sucked when I first met him. Because the first thing he did, I instantly knew he was gay. Because he had that voice. You know that voice that all gay people have. It's just so innate in them that they just can't stop. And he turns to me and he goes, "Hey, what's your ethnicity?" And my first thought was, this is the first thing you learn in training not to ask. You don't ask that to your coworkers. So I explained to him, I'm a mixture of things. I've got black, I've got white, and for the white I got German and, Yiddish. And he goes, oh, German. So you must be related to Adolf. What? Where could you have possibly gotten? How could that possibly cross your mind? So he just starts telling people that I'm related to the angry mustache man. And I'm going, no, let me explain. I said Yiddish. That's technically the Jews of Germany, because on my dad's side, they went to Russia, became Catholics, and came to the U.S. And so he goes, "Oh, so you were also related to Anne Frank." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about, buddy?" I'm just trying to figure out the assembly station. You're supposed to be cooking meat on the grill. What the hell is going on? So then he starts running around telling people that I am related to Anne Frank and the Angry Mustache Man, and telling people that it's because of a love affair that they had, which isn't even true, by the way. Anne Frank was Dutch, and you know, the Angry Mustache Man was Austrian. So there's no connection to these people whatsoever. But anyway, I'm getting really mad at this point because I really don't know how to just tell him to stop. Because he's really just getting under my skin. I made a post about it on my Instagram, and yes, I might have called him a bad word. Angry people say mean things sometimes. And I had this one kid that I knew, that I had met from that first jam session that I went to, if you saw those shorts. And he says, I have absolutely no problem with mean words, but you attack the LGBTQ community, and I'm gonna teach you the meaning of the curb. And I said, grow a pair, faggot, and I blocked him. What's he gonna do? Find me? Kick my ass? Scrawny little guy can't handle a big man like me. But anyway, and then I actually get to meet the manager, and we already talked about her a little bit. So I'm trying to do things the way I do things. There was no real training on how I'm supposed to do things. I watched a few videos day one, and it's been almost a week since I've seen the video, and all I've done is toast and bake, so I have no idea how to do the assembly station, so I'm going slower than everybody else, but I am getting food out. Eventually I start picking up pace. Lisa doesn't like this at all, and she keeps yelling at me to go faster, and I keep telling her, there's only so much I can do day one, especially because I've never done this before. She gets really, really upset. And this goes on basically the entire night until I clock out. I didn't say anything. I was really angry. But I got over it, thinking tomorrow is going to be another day. I was right in the sense that it was another day of absolute batshit insanity. Because when I get there, I do clock in. I had to figure that out. But then I had a doctor's appointment. So, about an hour and a half after I had gotten there. So I clocked out during my doctor's appointment. I made it very clear, I have a doctor's appointment on this day, I have to leave. So I go and do my doctor's appointment, and I come back and I say, okay, I'm ready to clock back in. Lisa says, well, no, you have to take your half-hour break right now. And I say, and she's like, no, you're still on break. And it's like, I went to a doctor's appointment. That's not my break. She goes, well, you need to go sit over there for half an hour. I say, okay. So I go and I sit for half an hour, twiddling my thumbs, fingering my pussy in front of all the customers, in front of the window so people could see it on the street too. After about half an hour, I end up going back to things like, hey, I need to clock back in. She goes, didn't you do it on the break? And I said, no, I didn't do it on the break because I had a doctor's appointment to go to. I clocked out entirely. So she gets upset, takes me to go clock back in. And so I start doing my job. Day one, I did take some nuggets, as everyone else was doing, because why not? But not the nuggets in the basket that go to the customers. The nuggets that were cooked, that fell out of the basket when you're trying to take the fryer and dump it in to the basket. So I start doing this here too, because I think it's hilarious, and as long as I don't get caught, what are they going to do? We're going to throw it out anyway, so you might as well get eaten. And I'm getting better. I'm getting a little bit faster. Sometimes it gets really overwhelming because I really don't understand the system as well as I had hoped to. But with other people there helping me, I figured it out. It got better. And the gay guy was a lot nicer the next day. He's like, oh, I was just joking. I was just playing a joke. And it's like, whatever, buddy. Whatever, bro. And, yeah, so the day goes on. Lisa starts losing her shit. And I, being the intelligent being that I am, when she gets upset, I start speaking Arabic. I start calling her Abd al-Sharika, which means slave of the company. which I think is hilarious. But it's also kind of racist, but that's fine. And as people are hearing me go saying these things, I'm like, what are you talking? What are you saying? What do you know? It's like, oh, I'm just speaking Arabic. I'm like, well, you speak Arabic, yeah, and I speak a lot of languages. That's just my one. I'm a one-trick pony. Unless you see me play guitar, then I'm a two-trick pony. But as time goes on, Lisa really starts losing her shit, and there's nothing I can do about it. She's really getting on my nerves. So I go and I step to the side, take a deep breath, I say a little prayer, and then I get back to work. But as I'm getting back to work, she's kicking somebody out of the kitchen to go home because he's only supposed to be manning the grill, even though we've already finished all the meat we're supposed to do, and he wants to help everybody else around him. She didn't want him to do that. She wanted him to just stand there and jerk off on the grill and do absolutely nothing other than that. And he didn't want to, so she kicked him out. And one guy tried to defend him, so she kicked him out too. And at one point, she stands in the middle of the hallway, stamps her foot, and goes like this and goes, "Why does nobody listen to me?" And in my head I'm going, it's because you're a fucking child. You're a child in an adult's body who thinks that they have more power than you actually do. And so eventually, I've hit my last nerve. And I've hit a point where if I take my half-hour break, I will have about 5-10 minutes of actual last work because it's hitting the end of the night, later in the night, and I go up to her and I say, "Hey, I've been working for 6 hours straight. Can I take my break now?" And she says, "You already took your break today." I was like, "No, I didn't take my break." She goes, "Yes, you did at the beginning of the day." I said, "No, you made me take my break. I had a doctor's appointment to go to. That's not a break." She gets really upset. She goes, "Fine, well, if you sweep, I'll let you go home early." I go, "Great." So I go and I grab a broom, and just any broom. I start sweeping. It's a nice broom, one of the brooms that comes down like that has that angled thing, and then it's got the like it looks kind of like this, and you can like push it like that, and it gets into the crevices and stuff real nice. That was the broom I was using. It was green and it looked cool. And she looks at me and she yells at me from across the kitchen and goes, "Unloved legs, does that look like a broom to you?" Well, let me ask you this. Let me describe it to you. It has a broom handle. It has bristles, like I would assume a broom would have. When I push it, it sounds like a broom. When you push it also, that's called sweeping. So if I had to deduce, I'm pretty sure this is a fucking broom. But she wasn't happy about that, so she tells me I have to go use a different broom. The one that she likes. I go, "Fine," and she goes, "It's over there, it's in the same spot," and I go and I look for it, it's not there. Turns out it was up front in her area the entire time. I had no idea. So I sweep as best I can. I kind of half-assed it, but I was not happy about having to continue being in the presence of this grade A cunt. And I sweep, and I tell her, "There, I swept. Can I go home now?" So she pulls out her hypothetical or her metaphorical big fucking eyeglass and starts inspecting it and goes, "Well, there's chicken nuggets there, there's grease over there, there's shit over there." And it's like, "You gotta sweep again." I go, "Okay." So I start trying to sweep again. She comes up to me, snatches the broom out of my hand and says, "Here, let me show you how to use a broom. Now, when you start sweeping," I go, "I already know, I am not stupid. I know how to use a fucking broom." And she fucking looks up at me like, "Clock out. You must clock out." And it's like, "Alright, cool, thanks." I go and I clock out and I walk away. But then I remembered something very important. I'm off the clock. I can say whatever the hell I want. So I go out back inside from after being outside, and I say to her, "Fuck you and your bullshit, you stupid fucking monkey brain." And I walked out. I was happy with that because fuck that bitch. So I don't go back to work the next day. Actually, I had called HR making a complaint about her because I forgot a piece of very important information. After a slowdown had happened, I'm the only person standing at the assembly line. She comes up to me and she goes, "So, Mr. Unloved Legs, how you liking your first day?" And I say, it's a job. Can't say I hate it. Can't say I like it. And she looks at me and she goes, "So," and she pulls out a tray. "Does this look quality to you? Would you pay your hard-earned money for this?" I look her dead in the eyes and I say, "Well, if you consider the average American consumer in the United States today, when they're spending their money at McDonald's, they do not care how fresh that food is as long as it is hot, crispy, and juicy. Besides, isn't the rule first in, first out? So even if it's been sitting there, 5 minutes, we still have to use that food unless requested otherwise." And she just snarled at me so bad. And she was not happy about that. So she walked away. But after I called HR, I made a complaint, being unhappy with my situation and wanting to be moved to a different location if I could. But this was just before Thanksgiving. So I didn't hear from her at all. So then I get a message or a notification on my team app for working at McDonald's when I'm supposed to show back up for my actual shift. It's a Wednesday. Okay, cool. I've got a few more days of chillaxing, and then I can go back to work. So then on that Wednesday, I knew some bullshit was going down. So I ripped a few blinkers on a cart I found on the ground at the Louder Than Life festival. And I went to work, ready for work. And Susan comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, we need to talk." And I go, "Okay." So he pulls me into his little manager's office and he goes, "Did you have a spat with Miss Lisa?" I said, "Yes, but it's already being handled by HR." And I want to point out something very important. Lisa doesn't show up until the evening shift, but she was already there when I got there, which made me a little concerned. And he says, "Well, we can't keep you if you're going to do that. We have to let you go." And I said, "Hey, wait a second. What I said was off the clock." And he says, "That doesn't matter. You were still in uniform." And in my head, I wanted to say, "So you want me to strip down naked in the restaurant before I say something?" It wasn't in front of customers. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. And he goes, "Well, that's too damn bad. You're fired." So I just turn around and walk away because I'm too stoned to give a shit. And I call HR and it's like, "Hey, I got fired for the thing that we talked about the other day." She goes, "I don't even know who the fuck you are." "Okay, it's Unloved Legs." She goes, "Oh, do you want your job back?" It's like, "Yeah, and I'd like to be moved to this other location." Don't hear from her again. And check my team app. I'd been completely removed. So that's the story of how I got fired from McDonald's in 2 days flat. And if you like my story time videos, let me know in the comments below and leave a like. If you don't, hit that dislike button, but don't leave a comment because I'm not going to read it. And, yeah, happy Lent, and God bless.